mathematicians. The goal of this video is to refresh your memory on linear equations. They very well might show up on your ACT exam. Alright, so cell phone company charges $20 for phone service, $7 for each gigabyte. We need a variable for each. We could let maybe T represent the total cost or C represent the total cost. And then G could represent the number of gigabytes used. So we'd have something like total cost equals $20 plus $7 per gigabyte. If you wrote it this way and said 7G plus 20, that would be acceptable as well. And you might use X and Y. You just have to define your variables. So T representing total charge, G representing gigabytes used. All right, college charges $4.25 per credit hour. This time they tell us to use C for the number of credits. So it's $4.25 times C. Plus they have a $100 technology charge. A lot of times that's a one time per semester, maybe one time per year, depending on the setup. And then T is representing total charges, and so we'd have something like that. All right, next one, a high school student begins working, they get paid $8.50 an hour. H is representing the number of hours. W is the total wages, or the amount earned. So we just take $8.50 times the number of hours. That'd be your total wages. Number 4, we have a linear equation for converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. And we're told that our Celsius is 45 degrees. I'm trying to find the Fahrenheit that goes with it. So we're just substituting in. So 9/5 of 45, and then we have that plus 32. So 1/5 of 45 is 9. 9 times 9, 81. So 9/5 of 45 is 81. Just multiplying those together, and then we'll add the 32 to it. All right, so your Fahrenheit degrees would be 113 degrees. Again, that's Fahrenheit. A lot of times we put the F after the degree symbol. All right, the next 3, using this equation. So when we look at this equation, we can notice 2 things. We can notice that our slope, our rise or run, between the 2 points indicated, is that we would go down 3 and then we would go to the right 2 units. So that would have a slope of -3/2. It's okay for a slope to be an improper fraction. Sometimes it's a whole number, sometimes it's a proper fraction. Any of those are fine. Your y-intercept is the place where your line intersects the y-axis. In this case, it's the value of 3. Crosses at 3. Sometimes we use B for that. Sometimes we'll use it as an ordered pair. If it's on the y-axis, then it has a 0 for the x value. So it's the ordered pair 0, 3. Now if we put that together, we can write the equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is something you need to memorize. Y equals mx plus b. Where m is the slope, in this case, -3/2. And then our y-intercept is the b, in this case, 3. It's a positive 3, so we'll put plus 3. If it were a negative, we put minus whatever value. Number 8, what's the slope of this line? Well, the slope formula, something also that you need to memorize, is the difference in the y's over the difference in the x's. Remember, the top is the rise, the bottom is the run. When we look at the graph, we often use it. The words rise over run for that. So you'll label your points. I just like to go x1, y1, x2, y2. And so the numerator of the fraction would be 2 minus -3. The denominator will be -6 minus 4. And so if you do the subtraction on top, 2 minus a -3, that's 2 plus 3, that's 5. And then on the bottom we get -10. If we divide them both by 5, we get -1/2 for our slope. So that's the simplified version of the slope. Still dealing with the same equation, we want to write the equation for the line. We have a slope of -1/2. We're going through the point for -3. So point slope, something you also probably should go ahead and memorize, is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Where, of course, the slope is the m, that's the -1/2 here. the x1 is 4 and the y1 is negative 3. Minus a negative, we'll rewrite that as plus a positive. Now, sometimes they may leave it this way. They may say write it in point slope, or they just may have it in this form. So this is potentially an acceptable answer. It's an equation for the line that goes through those 2 points. Other times they may ask for the line in slope-intercept, in which case we want to get it into y equals mx plus b. So to do that, we'll distribute the negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 times x is negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times negative 4 is positive 2. To get rid of the plus 3, we'll subtract 3 from each side. When we do that, we have y equals negative 1/2 x minus 1. This is the most common type of an equation I see, and that's called slope-intercept. There is yet another one called standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So standard form, ax plus by equals c, and a is positive for standard form. And also a, b, and c are integers. So no decimals, no fractions here. So standard form, although we don't use it as much, does not have any fractions. So if I want to change this from slope-intercept to standard form, which sometimes we'll want to do, we would go ahead and add 1/2 x to each side. So we'd have 1/2 x plus y equals negative 1. And then to get rid of the fractions, we're going to multiply by any denominators, or the common denominator. In this case, 2. So distribute the 2, we get 1x, or just x, plus 2y equals negative 2. So this would be the standard form version of the answer. So lots of different possibilities when the question is vague like that. For the ACT, it may be more specific in the question, or it just may be the answers that are all written in standard, or point slope, or slope-intercept. Number 10, what is the equation of a line that's parallel to this line? So this line has a slope of 2/5. Well, all parallel lines will have the same slope. So if it's going to be parallel to this, it's going to have a slope of 2/5. And then they give us this point. So we can start with point slope, y minus y sub 1 equals our m, our slope, times in parentheses x minus x sub 1. If they left it in point slope, we'd see it this way. If we want to write it in slope-intercept, which is the most common version I see, I would distribute to get rid of the parentheses. 2/5 of 5 is 2. And we'll add 1 to each side. And so the slope-intercept version of this answer is y equals 2/5 x plus 3. Again, that's the answer I would typically see. Sometimes, again, they may leave it in point slope, or they may change it to standard form. All right, perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at right angles. It works out that if you know the slope of a line, then the perpendicular line will have the opposite reciprocal slope. So opposite meaning change sign, reciprocal meaning flip. So this perpendicular line is going to have a slope of 1/3. And then they happen to give us the y-intercept this time. So slope-intercept, y equals 1/3 x minus 2. That line is perpendicular to the equation that we're given, the line that we're given, and it goes through the point negative 2 on the y-axis, the y-intercept. All right, here we're given it in standard form, but we want to figure out what the slope is. So probably the easiest way to do that is get it into slope-intercept. Because when you look at slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b, the m is the slope. So subtract 4x from each side, and then to get rid of multiplying by -5, just divide each term by -5. And we'll figure out that the slope of this line is 4/5. So positive 4/5 is our slope here. All right, so hopefully this is helping you as you prepare for your ACT exam.